Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Kudzie Mapiye, and on this channel I do videos about my life living here in Australia, and I also share different life lessons that I've learned along the way. I also share videos about my life living in Zimbabwe. I've created a playlist of all the videos of my life in Zimbabwe, so if you want to watch that, please click in the video link below in the description box. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing a tip or some tips, some life-changing tips that have just transformed my life living here in Australia. And I'll just share a little bit of background of what I struggled with and how I came about, trialing these things and how I saw them just literally transform my life. So basically it started just living here, being very busy. As you know, I'm a mom of two, I work full time and I'm married. I have to maintain a life at home, a life at work, being a parent. There's so much involved, and here in Australia it's not affordable to get live-in help, or maybe help that comes and goes. It is accessible, it is available, but it's just not affordable. And I've shared videos about how much it costs in previous videos, but it's not very affordable. So most people in Australia do everything themselves, and everything involves your own cooking, your own cleaning, and just managing your life. Different from other countries, for example in Zimbabwe, where you can have help or even live-in help, someone who helps you take care of the kids, cook, clean, wash, and all that. So basically having to juggle all those different things. And I found that over time, I've been in Australia coming on to 18 years now, and over time I've become, the responsibilities have increased. I moved to Australia as a student. I didn't have many responsibilities then besides just managing my studies and balancing with work. And over time, gotten married, had kids, moved into a full-time job. So all those responsibilities just pile on, and they just require more of you in terms of energy. That's physical energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy, everything. And I started to see that I was getting very depleted. More so before I moved to Zimbabwe, I really felt that, something just this perpetual tiredness. When you're so tired and, you go to sleep and then the next morning you're not feeling refreshed, you still feel like you have this lingering tiredness, the tiredness just won't go completely away. And I had come to think that this is just a normal part of my busy lifestyle, that because I'm doing so much, it's normal for me to feel tired, it's normal for me to feel exhausted. And I started to feel when I went back to Zimbabwe and I felt replenished, and I've managed to rest and get rid of a lot of fatigue that I had accumulated over the years, and I really felt refreshed. Coming back to Australia, I knew that I had to do things differently. I never wanted to reach that level of exhaustion that I used to feel before I moved to Zimbabwe. I didn't want to get to that level where I have this perpetual tiredness, this just an ongoing fatigue, where rest and sleep are just not cutting it. You feel like you need something more. And I was talking to a lady, and she was telling me how, especially as women, she's and I was telling her about feeling tired. She's if you're feeling tired like that, something is not right. And her words just stuck with me when she said, something is not right. You need to get your blood work done. You need to figure out what is actually wrong. Because I thought when I told her that, I'm always feeling tired and exhausted, I thought she would be oh, me too, because she's also a migrant and has a lot to juggle. And I thought, she'll relate to that feeling. And she's no, that's not a normal feeling. So I started to realize that something that I had normalized is actually not something normal. So when you don't feel right, something is not right. And I started to see that, you know, I need to add some supplements. So I've had some blood work done, and I've had blood work done over a couple of years. And one thing that's always come up is some vitamin deficiencies that I have in my system. And I just didn't know how critical it was until I started doing research. Well, ever since I was young, ever since I can remember, I've had an iron deficiency. So I've always been on and off iron medication for a very, very long time, since I was in high school. And I get on iron medication, and then my iron levels kind of build up, and then I get off it. And then when it starts to plummet again, I get on it again. So I've always had on and off iron supplements. But even with the iron supplements, I still felt like something else was wrong. Like I still felt tired. And in my blood work, vitamin D would always come in deficient. I was always deficient of vitamin D, and it was always at very, very low levels. And I guess like I once went on like vitamin D supplements, and I went off them. Like I think I didn't take it as seriously as I should have, because when I started to research the importance of vitamin D, it's linked to like energy. It's got other uses as well, like, you know, bones and everything, but it's also linked to mood and energy levels. And I started to realize that, hey, I think this vitamin D deficiency is really something that I need to address, because I did notice a change, you know, changes in my mood. I did notice, you know, very low energy levels despite being on iron medication. So, and when I mean differences in my mood, like, you know, just not always having a good mood, like high mood, like sometimes like just having, you know, flows in mood that I thought, you know, I used to think it's just hormonal or something like that, but I started to do research, and I'm like, no, this is definitely linked to my vitamin D deficiency. And every time I've had blood work done, it's always come vitamin D deficient. So I decided to get on vitamin D supplements, and I got the dosage that I had been recommended before by my doctor, and I've got the brand. Like, I don't think it really matters with the brand. I think what matters is like the concentration of vitamin D. So the one that I use is the Caruso brand, which is available at basically all pharmacies in Australia. And I got this vitamin D3 supplement. And let me tell you, that has been a life changer for me, because once I consistently started taking vitamin D medication every single day, I started to notice a shift in my mood and a shift in my energy levels. And I wanted to see if it was really the vitamin D. So I stopped it for a while. I stopped taking this, like just for a few days. And I started to notice the energy and the mood going down. And I'm like, no, definitely it's the vitamin D. And I got onto it again, and I started to see improvements. And for me personally, I start to see improvements in in 1, 2, 3 days. I start to see an improvement. I start to see a change, because I think my body gets so deficient in vitamin D. It's at like critically low levels. And once I boost it, like things start to function well. And I also heard from my doctor that people who have a deeper skin tone, like myself, have difficulties absorbing vitamin D. Just naturally. And sometimes if you're always indoors like I am, you're not out in the sun, like, you know, you're not getting as much vitamin D naturally through sunlight as well. So it's also important to get a supplement. So once I started taking daily supplements of vitamin D, I started to see a major shift. Even at work, like, you know, I can go a whole day, finish the day, come back home, and still have good energy levels and be in a good mood. Like, and that was almost a never for me. And another thing that I started taking is this Caruso's Women's Multivitamin. Again, I don't think it matters the brand, but it just matches the concentration. And it's just a daily, it says your daily energy basically. And I think it's so accurate, and it supports a lot of things that, and this one is specifically for men, and there's also a men's multivitamin as well. So I take this every single day with my vitamin D, and you have to take it with meals. And this one smells really bad. Like if you just open the container, I hate the smell. It smells really, really bad. And I remember taking vitamin supplements as a child. It's that same smell. Like the pill is like brown, and let me just show you what it looks like. It's like this brownish color, and it stinks. Like even just opening the container, it smells really bad. And even when you drink it, you can still taste it, like a really horrible smell, but it is so helpful, like coupled with the vitamin D. So I take these two every single day, and I also take just a natural fiber one every day as well. And the reason I take this is I just asked the pharmacist when I went to buy my multivitamins, and she was like, you know, a good fiber supplement is good because most of the time we don't have good fiber balance in our diet, and sometimes, you know, whatever happens in your gut affects your energy as well. And I'll go on to a story about my stomach and my gut problems, which has led me to take this as well. So I take these three every single day, and I've noticed a major difference. And you have to take them with food. So sometimes I, you know, don't get a chance to take them in the mornings because if I don't feel like eating, but once I have my first meal, sometimes even at work, I just pop like a small water bottle in my bag. It's not heavy. I know that I can always take my vitamins on the go, and I just pop them like in a tissue, like in a bit of facial tissue, and I put them in my bag, and then I take them whenever I'm having my first meal. So that's how I managed to be consistent with taking my vitamins, and it has been life-changing. Like even sleeping, I sleep very well. I feel rested when I wake up. During the day, I have very like good energy. Like I've had the best energy levels I've had since I can remember. Like even when I was in Zimbabwe, I had really good energy levels, but since starting this supplement, ever since I came back, it has been like better than the energy levels I had when I was in Zimbabwe. And I'm like, it is so critical to address your vitamin deficiencies, because sometimes, yes, we have busy lifestyles and we have a lot of things that we're juggling, but sometimes something is really, really wrong inside that we have to fix, that will just help us manage things better. And for me, like the whole energy level thing was really starting to affect my life, because even like with my kids, I felt like I couldn't do so many activities with them, like go out with them and do all that, just spend time with them being active, because they're very active and because they're young. Like I felt like I didn't have the energy, and I always wanted to sleep, but even if I slept, I wouldn't be well rested. And I thought that, you know, this is really starting to affect my lifestyle, so I really need to address it. And if you're someone, and another thing that I always take is pomegranate juice or blueberry juice. And pomegranate juice I get from Woolies or Coles. Like it's very like readily available. That's the one I would recommend because of its availability. Blueberry juice, I have to get it at a specific shop, so it's not readily available. But with pomegranate juice, it really helps. Like once I take even a glass, like I just feel like my whole system being replenished. And I don't have a bottle. I'll just show you a picture. I don't have a bottle with me because I ran out. I ran out just like the day before yesterday. So I'm going to get one today or tomorrow because I always need to have a bottle. It's life-changing. It's good for the skin. It's just good for your whole system. You feel like it's like an instant energy boost. If you're feeling a little bit slack, a little bit not balanced, if you have a glass of pomegranate juice, like, you know, pure pomegranate juice, trust me, you will thank me later. It's life-changing, literally. And I've gotten so many people onto this pomegranate juice now. Even my daughter like wrestles me for the last glass of pomegranate juice, and she had the last sip of the bottle that we had because it tastes really nice and it just really helps boost your energy. Not that she needs any more energy that she already has, but anyway, it's really, really good for boosting energy. And I was going to share the problem I had with my gut. Now, some years ago, I also, and this is just to highlight that if you don't feel right, something is not right. A couple of years ago, I had a problem, like I had massive problems with my stomach. I always had bloating, like painful bloating. Even after drinking water, I would wake up bloated, I'll go to sleep bloated after every single meal. And it's that painful bloat, like it was so painful and my stomach would be so distended. People used to always ask me if I was pregnant. The people who know me, like from years ago, they know that I always looked pregnant. Even before I had kids, I always looked pregnant because I was always bloated. Like it was like my stomach would be like not big, but then like when I eat something or when I drink something, and I used to think I had food allergies. I went for so many allergy tests and nothing ever came back positive. And it was just, I couldn't find the answer. And then I had been to doctors saying like I'm always bloated, and they would always be like, change your diet or you need to lose some weight. It was always something that wasn't addressing the real problem. And then I met this doctor who changed my life, and she said, I think we should test for H. pylori. I had never heard of that before. I'm like, what's H. pylori? And she's like, it's a long name like Helicobacter pylori or something like that. It's a really long name, but for short it's called H. pylori. And if you don't test for it, like specifically, if you don't request for an H. pylori test, it doesn't just come up in your normal blood work. You have to specifically ask for an H. pylori test. And then I had that H. pylori test and it came back positive. And I remember just reading the test results and it was written in red and the levels were so high, and my doctor was so shocked that I had been having such high levels of H. pylori and like unaddressed. She got me onto medication immediately. It was a cocktail of drugs, like it was like acid. So H. pylori is basically a bacteria that is like, shards of glass. Like if you break a glass and those sharp glass pieces, that's what H. pylori looks like in your stomach, and it burrows into the lining of your stomach. So that's where the pain comes from, and it just digs into your stomach and it causes inflammation and just basic soreness and a lot of bloating. So it doesn't matter what you do, you'll always be bloated pretty much. So that's what I had, and I got onto this medication. It was 3 things that I had to take at the same time. It was like a strong anti-acid, and then 2 different types of antibiotics, all at the same time. I think the course was like 5 to 7 days. I don't quite remember, but it was like around about a week. I was so sick taking that medication. I had to take days off work. I was literally on the floor in pain, like writhing in pain, because it was so painful. And my doctor said what was actually happening is that the H. pylori bacteria was now dislodging from the lining of my stomach. And it's like when sharp glass is taken out of your skin, it leaves scars. So she was saying that because this bacteria is coming out of your lining now, it's leaving all these painful scars. That's what's causing the pain, but over time they will heal. And that's what happened. So I had so much pain during the course of the medication, but once it cleared, like after some weeks, I think I felt good and the bloating stopped. I could eat anything and not feel bloated. Like I used to be bloated after eating an apple. Like it was just like wild. Like it was just out of this world. But I started to feel better and I could drink anything, eat anything, like not have to always go and lie on my stomach after eating because I was in so much pain. Like it really, really transformed my life in terms of how I felt. So because of that, I'm always conscious of like gut health, which is why I take the fiber, because it just helps with your gut health. Like I never want to throw out my gut anything and get this bacteria again. And the other thing about the causes, I think she said it could be, she said she couldn't really tell what had caused it. It can be caused by a variety of things. It's something that you could have had as a child and gotten worse. Like it could be something you have eaten a long time ago. she couldn't really tell what had caused it, but she said apparently a lot of people with these bloating problems and stomach problems have this bacteria. So if you are experiencing anything like what I have mentioned and you have never gotten an H. pylori test, please go to your doctor and request for it, and you might have it. And if you do, the good news is it is treatable. Sometimes they can't treat it in the first course and you have to go on the second course of treatment, where they increase the number of antibiotics depending on the levels that you have. But over time it can be treated and you can start to feel better. And I don't look pregnant anymore, and people don't ask me if I'm pregnant, which is such a relief. But anyway, yeah, looking pregnant was the least of my worries. It was more about how I was feeling and always being in pain. So it was just to highlight that, you know, if you don't feel right, something is not right, get it checked, run some blood work, do some research, request some tests to be done. Because if you're balancing life, if you're really busy, no matter where you are in the world, if you're really busy, you need to make sure that you are balanced in terms of your vitamins. And most likely we don't get all the vitamins we need with just other food we cook, because we don't always make balanced meals, which is why you need a supplement. Especially the older that you get, you need to get supplements. So I hope you found this video helpful. If this sounds like you at all, please do go and get some help from a doctor. From what I've noticed, there can be major improvements. I have just, like, I feel like I've got a new lease of life. I feel like my life is just transformed because of these things that I've implemented, especially these recently added vitamin supplements. They've just transformed my whole life. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.